Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into fascinating topics. And sometimes those topics involve these big cinematic attempts, bringing iconic monster franchises together.
Yeah, and sometimes those attempts lead to, well, let's just say interesting results.
Exactly. Today we're doing a deep dive into the 2007 film Aliens vs. Predator, Requiem, or AVPR as most people call it.
Mm-hmm.
Our mission today is really to unpack this specific movie. It sits in like two huge sci-fi sagas.
It really does.
We're going to explore its, pretty intense plot, its kind of unique production story, and, how it landed with people, critics, and audiences.
Right.
And just for context, for you listening, this is a direct sequel to the 2004 Alien vs. Predator.
Yep, picks up right after.
So it's the second
Yep.
and currently last in that specific crossover franchise. But it's also like the sixth film in the Alien series.
And the fourth in the Predator series. So it's got this pretty heavy legacy to deal with.
Definitely a challenge.
And what's immediately striking, I think, is how AVPR just tries to ramp everything up right away, like straight from the end of the first one.
Yeah, no breathing room.
No, it just throws us back into total chaos and introduces this brand new, really terrifying hybrid creature, plus a very different kind of predator.
Okay, yeah, let's get into that plot. It is chaotic. As you said, it literally kicks off moments after AVP ended.
On the Predator ship.
On the ship, yeah.
Right.
They've got captured facehuggers, and they've got the body of Scar, the Predator who died in the last movie.
But then,
twist, a chest burster erupts from Scar, but different. It's got traits of both species.
The Predalien.
The Predalien, exactly. And it grows up super fast and just starts, like, slaughtering the predators on the ship.
Which leads to the crash.
Right. The ship goes out of control, crashes into a forest right outside Gunnison, Colorado.
And that's where the real crisis begins, right? Because the Predalien escapes, and so do several facehuggers.
Into the woods, yeah.
And they immediately start finding human hosts. So to contain this mess, basically, a very specialized predator is dispatched from the homeworld, a cleaner.
The wolf predator.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The crew apparently nicknamed him Wolf after Harvey Keitel's character in Pulp Fiction, the guy who cleans up messes.
Ah, okay, I see the connection.
And his mission is just absolute. Kill the Predalien, kill all the xenomorphs, and completely erase any evidence they were ever there.
So not a hunt for sport this time.
No, this is pest control. On a lethal interplanetary scale. It fundamentally shifts the Predator's role here.
And Wolf, he gets right to it, doesn't he?
Yeah. Zero hesitation. He arrives at the crash site, uses this potent blue acid stuff.
To dissolve everything. Bodies, evidence.
Everything. Predators, facehuggers, human victims, gone. And then he sets off a bomb to just vaporize the ship itself.
Talk about Suro. No loose ends.
None. Ruthless efficiency.
Okay, so while Wolf's doing his cleanup, we shift to the human side of things in Gunnison.
Right, the poor folks caught in the middle.
We meet Dallas Howard. He's an ex-con coming home. His younger brother, Ricky.
Who's got his eye on Jesse Salinger.
Yeah, typical small-town teen stuff until, monsters. Then there's Kelly O'Brien. She's a Marine, back home with her daughter Molly.
And the sheriff, Eddie Morales.
Right. And all their lives start crashing together as this xenomorph threat just boils up from the sewers.
Yeah, the xenomorphs escape the sewers, and there's this big fight at the power plant that causes a citywide blackout.
Classic monster movie move. Isolate the town.
It is. It definitely ramps up the tension. But, it also kind of highlights how AVPR maybe leans a bit heavily on those tropes.
Like it's checking boxes?
Sort of. Sometimes it feels like the focus is more on the relentless gore and the action, maybe less on, exploring what the humans are really going through beyond just survival.
And the chaos, it just escalates like crazy. The film turns into this non-stop urban war zone.
It really does.
You got the attack at the high school swimming pool.
Brutal.
The O'Brien's house gets invaded. Yeah. Then the survivors hole up in a sporting goods store to arm themselves.
Mm-hmm. Trying to fight back.
But even the National Guard, when they show up, they just get completely wiped out by the xenomorphs. It's relentless.
It almost felt like they were trying to cram every possible horror and action scenario into one film. Did you get that sense from the sources?
Totally.
Yeah.
The pacing is just breakneck.
Yeah.
And the focus is definitely on that action and, frankly, the shock value.
Yeah. And Wolf, he's right in the thick of it. Remember when he uses Dallas as bait in the sporting goods store?
Yeah, leading to that massive fight. His shoulder cannon gets damaged.
But then he cleverly reconfigures it into a handheld plasma pistol. Shows his resourcefulness,
True. Then the survivors make a break for it, heading towards this supposed military evacuation point.
At the hospital.
Yeah.
which turns out to be completely overrun.
Yeah, bad plan. Wolf shows up there too, starts taking out more Xenos, but then...
Jesse, Ricky's crush, panics in the chaos, and Wolf accidentally kills her.
Oof. Collateral damage.
Exactly. And Ricky, understandably, freaks out and shoots at Wolf only to get injured by the Predalien himself. It really does raise that question, you know? Who pays the price when the cleaner isn't focused on saving humans?
Yeah, the movie doesn't shy away from showing that brutal cost.
Not at all.
And it all leads to this final showdown, right? Wolf versus the Predalien on the hospital roof.
A pretty epic fight, actually. They both mortally wound each other.
And just as they're basically done for, boom, fighter jet appears.
Drops a tactical nuke.
Wipes out the entire town. Creatures, Wolf, everything. Gone.
The shockwave even downs the survivors' helicopter, but they crash land and get rescued.
But then that crucial moment, Wolf's plasma pistol. It gets taken from Dallas.
Like Colonel Stevens, yeah. And then presented to Mrs. Yutani of the Yutani Corporation.
Chilling ending. Sets up, well, something.
Mm-hmm. So behind all that chaos on screen, the story of the filmmakers is actually pretty interesting, too.
Yeah, this was a big point in the sources. AVPR was the directorial debut for the brothers Strause, Colin, and Greg.
Right. These guys were, like, huge fans of Terminator 2. That inspired them.
Moved to L.A., tried to get work at ILM, didn't happen.
So they just started their own company, Hydraulics.
And they ended up doing VFX for massive movies, like Volcano, The Day After Tomorrow, Poseidon, 300.
Yeah, they built a serious reputation, and it's kind of fascinating because it was that strong VFX background that basically landed them the AVPR directing job.
Especially on a film that needed a lot of effects but didn't have a massive budget.
Exactly. They'd actually pitched an idea for the first AVP that didn't get picked up. Fox was apparently close to buying another film idea from them right before this opportunity came along, so their visual skills were key for this studio.
And fun fact, the original working title was Alien vs. Predator, Survival of the Fittest.
Huh. Glad they changed it, maybe.
Maybe. Production itself sounds like it was intense. Filming started September 2006, Vancouver.
And they had a really tight schedule, only 52 days.
Wow. And while directing AVPR, they were also supervising the VFX for other huge movies like 300, Shooter, Fantastic Four 2.
How did they even manage that?
Apparently, they had this proprietary in-house system, codenamed Mavis and Lucy. It let them manage all these massive VFX workflows across different projects at the same time.
That's incredible, and it really speaks to their whole approach, right? Their VFX philosophy.
Definitely. Hydraulics ended up doing, what, 460 of the 500 VFX shots in the movie?
Yeah, a huge chunk. That nuclear explosion, for example, used pretty advanced stuff for the time. Maya Fluid's BA volume shader, cutting edge for the budget.
And the Predator ship interior was all CGI, just to save money.
Right. But they also said they tried to shoot as much practically in-camera as possible, like claiming other than the exterior spaceship shots, there are no pure CG shots.
Which raises that whole practical versus digital effects debate, doesn't it?
It does, because even things like the alien tails and inner jaws, which used to need complex puppetry and wire removal.
They did those with CGI.
Yeah.
To speed things up, presumably.
Yeah, balancing speed and cost with trying to keep some practical feel. It's a tough line to walk.
Quick casting note, they wanted Adam Baldwin, Agent Garber from Predator 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but he wasn't available. Scheduling conflict. So they cast Robert Joy as a new character instead.
Okay.
And the music scored by Brian Tyler. He does a lot of big action scores.
Mm-hmm. And that German band, Oomph, their song Wach auf, was in a promo.
Yeah, Wake Up. Though it wasn't actually on the soundtrack album itself, just for promotion.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's talk about how this movie actually landed, the reception.
Right. It premiered November 2007 in L.A., then hit theaters wide on Christmas Day in the U.S.
And it definitely signaled a different direction from the first AVP. This one went hard R.
Oh, yeah. R for violence, gore, language.
Yeah.
Way different from the PG-13 original.
It felt like a very deliberate choice, you know, targeting that hardcore horror and action crowd. No compromises.
And how did that translate at the box office?
Well, it did okay, financially speaking. Made $9.5 million opening day. Ended up grossing about $130 million worldwide.
Against a $40 million budget. So it made money.
It did make money. Critically, however, well, that's another story.
Yeah, the reception was, let's say, generally negative.
That's putting it mildly. Rotten Tomatoes, just 12% positive from critics.
Ouch.
The consensus points to disorienting editing, excessively murky lighting, and lack of new ideas. That murky lighting thing comes up a lot.
I remember hearing that constantly. People saying they literally couldn't see what was happening.
Exactly. Metacritic gave it a 29 out of 100. And audiences. CinemaScore gave it a C. Not great.
And some critics were just brutal. Chris Hewitt from Empire called it an early but strong contender for worst movie of 2008.
Yikes. Stina Chin at Film Threat hit on that visibility issue again. Camera work is a smidge too shaky and the lighting color design too dark.
And Josh Rosenblatt from the Austin Chronicle basically called it mindless violence for teenage boys that bored everyone else.
Yeah.
Pretty harsh stuff.
Very harsh. But, to be fair, it wasn't universally hated by everyone.
Okay, there were some defenders. Or at least less harsh takes.
A few. Chris Nashawati at Entertainment Weekly gave it a B. He called it a B movie that truly earns its B. Kind of acknowledging its niche appeal.
So embracing the grindhouse vibe, maybe?
Sort of. Joe Layden at Variety said it provides enough cheap thrills and modest suspense.
Okay. Fate praise, maybe, but not outright condemnation.
And Neil Genslinger at the New York Times actually called it a perfectly respectable next step in the series.
Really? Okay, so there was some divergence, but the overall feeling was pretty negative.
Overwhelmingly so, yeah. Which led to some, less than prestigious nominations.
The Razzies.
Well, nominated for Biggest Disappointment of the Year at the Golden Schmoes. And yeah, Razzie nominations for Worst Prequel or Sequel and Worst Excuse for a Horror Movie.
Not exactly the awards you aim for.
Definitely not.
So what about the future? Obviously, this film kind of killed the direct AVP franchise, right? Plans for a third one just disappeared?
Yeah, they were abandoned. Both the Alien and Predator series just went their separate ways again after this.
We got Predators, then Prey more recently.
And on the Alien side, Prometheus, Covenant, and the upcoming Alien, Romulus.
But it's interesting you mentioned in the sources later Predator films, like The Predator from 2018.
Mm-hmm.
They actually included little nods back to AVP, like the shurikens and Lex's spear that Scar made in the first AVP.
Right. So even though the crossover series died, they didn't completely ignore it in the main franchises later on. Kind of keeps it loosely tied together, I guess.
In a messy, convoluted way.
Yeah. And of course, there was a tie-in video game.
Always is. Aliens vs. Predator. Requiem for the PSP.
Yep. You played as the wolf predator. And much like the film.
Let me guess. Generally negative reviews.
You got it. Didn't fare much better than a movie.
Okay, so wrapping this deep dive up. AVPR. It's definitely a unique beast, isn't it? Critically slammed, sure, but also kind of unforgettable in its own way.
Yeah, it stands as this really divisive chapter. It tried so hard to push the gore, the darkness, that R rating.
An uncompromising vision, maybe.
Yeah, you could say that. But the execution, the lighting, the editing, it struggled. And it really split the fan base and critics.
So for you listening, what are the big takeaways here?
Well, I think it really shows how specific creative choices, like bringing in directors known primarily for VFX, can have a huge impact, both good and bad. It shaped the visuals, but maybe contributed to those criticisms about clarity.
Right, the lighting, the frantic editing.
Yeah, and also that focus on the cleaner predator, wolf, it offered a really different dynamic from the usual hunter-stalking prey thing, even if the movie around him had issues.
So what does this all mean for you, the curious learner? I guess AVPR is just a fascinating case study, right?
Absolutely. It shows how, ambitious ideas and intentions can clash with production realities, that tight schedule, the budget.
And how that can lead to a film that sparks way more debate than actual praise.
Definitely. It's a great example of that disconnect that can happen.
Okay, final thought to leave you with. Something provocative.
Well, building on that ending.
Yeah.
That plasma pistol. Wolf's weapon.
Ending up in the hands of Mrs. Yutani.
Right. So even though a direct sequel never happened, what does that moment imply? What does it suggest about Weyland Yutani's, or just Yutani's at this point, interest in these alien technologies, these conflicts? How much power could that one piece of Predator tech hold for future stories, even if they aren't direct AVP sequels?
That's a really interesting thread to pull on. What could they do with that tech?
Exactly. Something to chew on.
Indeed. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the dark and messy world of Aliens vs. Predator, Requiem.